Grace, a struggling single mother working 3 jobs, thought humiliation was just part of survival, until one cruel customer pushed her to tears. When a stranger in worn jeans quietly stood up for her, everything changed. What Grace didn't know was that the man watching from the corner booth wasn't just another diner regular. He was Ethan Hale, a secret millionaire searching for something money couldn't buy: heart. That night, Ethan defended her dignity and revealed who he truly was. But instead of offering charity, he offered something far greater. Please don't kick me out. I'm already hurt," whispered Grace, her voice trembling as tears clung to her lashes. She stood just outside Miller's diner, her back pressed against the cold brick wall, her apron stained with the coffee a customer had dumped on her minutes ago. The November wind bit through her thin uniform, but it couldn't sting as much as the words that still echoed in her head. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below, and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. Maybe if you weren't so clumsy, you'd have a better job. At 35, Grace had learned to hide pain behind tired smiles. She worked 3 jobs, slept 4 hours a night, and still came home to read bedtime stories to her 8-year-old son, Leo. But tonight, she felt the weight of everything pressing down: bills, exhaustion, loneliness, and it was getting harder to stand tall. Inside the diner, a man sat quietly in the corner booth, stirring his black coffee. His name was Ethan Hale, and though no one knew it, he was one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in the state. To everyone else, he looked like an ordinary guy: a flannel shirt, worn jeans, a pickup parked outside. But Ethan wasn't here for the food. He'd been coming every evening for weeks, watching, listening, learning. He ran Hale Enterprises, a company that bought struggling local businesses and turned them into thriving, people-first ventures. But after years in boardrooms, Ethan had realized something no spreadsheet could show him: how people truly treated one another when they thought no one important was watching. And what he'd seen tonight broke something inside him. The man who'd humiliated Grace, Derek, a regular, was known for it. He made a game of it, sneering at waitresses, snapping his fingers, spilling drinks, by accident. Most people ignored it. Some even laughed. But Ethan had been taking notes, not on paper, but in his heart. Tonight, it was time to act. Grace stepped back inside, eyes red but determined. The bell above the door jingled weakly as she forced a smile and picked up the coffee pot. Derek raised his empty cup, smirking. "Took you long enough. Try not to make a mess this time," he said. The few customers glanced over, uncomfortable but silent. Grace's hands trembled as she poured. She couldn't afford to lose this job, not with the rent overdue and Leo's school sending reminders about lunch money again. Then, quietly, Ethan stood up. He walked toward Derek's booth with calm, deliberate steps. Grace froze, the coffee pot hovering midair. "What's your problem?" Derek snapped. "You waiting for service too? Get in line." Ethan's voice was low but firm. "No. I've just been watching you, for a while now. And I think it's time someone told you that what you're doing isn't just rude, it's cruel." The diner fell silent. Even the grill stopped sizzling. Derek barked a laugh. "Who do you think you are, buddy? Some kind of hero?" Ethan didn't flinch. "Just someone who believes that how you treat people says more about you than any job title ever could." He turned to Grace. "You don't have to pour that coffee, not for someone who treats you like you don't matter." Grace's throat tightened. "Please, don't. He's a regular. I need this job." Ethan met her eyes gently. "Needing a job doesn't mean you have to surrender your dignity." Then he faced Derek again. "You enjoy making others feel small because you think it makes you big. But it doesn't. It just shows how empty you are inside." Derek stood abruptly, his chair screeching across the floor. "You don't know a thing about me. I don't take lectures from truck stop nobodies." Ethan reached into his wallet and placed a crisp $100 bill on Derek's table. "Here's a month's worth of your meals. But if you can't treat the people who serve you with respect, you'll take your business elsewhere. Understood?" No one breathed. Derek's face turned red. He muttered something under his breath and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The room stayed silent until the bell above the door jingled again, softer this time. Then someone clapped. Another joined. And suddenly, quiet applause filled the diner. Grace stood frozen, her eyes brimming. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "You could have just ignored it, like everyone else." Ethan smiled faintly. "Maybe. But ignoring what's wrong doesn't make it disappear." He nodded toward his booth. "Can I buy you a cup of coffee? Just for a few minutes." Grace hesitated, then nodded. Her boss, Sam, gave her a reassuring wave from behind the counter. She slid into the seat across from Ethan, still unsure what to make of him. "I'm Ethan," he said, extending his hand. "And I owe you an apology." Grace blinked. "For what?" "For watching all this happen for weeks and not saying anything sooner. I was trying to understand this place, the people, the rhythm. I should have spoken up earlier." She frowned, confused. "Understand it? Why? You're some kind of food critic." Ethan chuckled softly. "Not quite. I run a company that invests in small businesses, restaurants, diners like this one. I've been visiting places across the country, quietly, to see which ones have heart. Not profit. Heart." Grace's shoulders tensed. "So you're here to buy this place?" Her voice trembled. "Another corporate owner. Another layoff waiting to happen." Ethan caught the worry in her eyes. "Not to close it. To save it, and rebuild it the right way. But I've realized something watching you, Grace. This diner doesn't need saving from the outside. It needs people like you who keep it alive from the inside." Grace looked down at her trembling hands. "You don't know what it's like. I barely make rent. I've been working since I was 16. I don't have a degree or experience running anything." "You have something rarer," Ethan said quietly. "Compassion. Work ethic. The ability to make people feel seen. You know how many executives forget that matters." He leaned forward, voice steady. "I grew up watching my mom do what you're doing now. 3 jobs, no sleep, no help. I learned more about leadership from her than from any business seminar I've ever sat through." Grace looked up, surprised. "So, what are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to buy this diner, with Sam's blessing, and rebuild it as a community restaurant. And I want you to help me run it." Her heart skipped. "Me? I've never managed anything." "You've been managing chaos for years," Ethan said with a small grin. "You just don't call it that." He handed her a simple business card. "Ethan Hale, founder, Hale Enterprises." Grace blinked at the card, then back at him. "You're serious?" "Completely. You've already proven you can turn hardship into hope. I just want to give you the chance to do it on a bigger scale." Tears stung her eyes again, but this time, they carried warmth. "Why me?" Ethan smiled softly. "Because you see people, not customers, not paychecks, people. And that's what real success looks like." 6 months later. The sign outside no longer said Miller's Diner. It now read Grace's Place in soft gold letters that caught the morning sun. Inside, the once flickering lights were replaced with warm fixtures that made everything glow. The walls displayed local art, one painting by Little Leo showing a bright garden behind the restaurant. Grace stood by the counter, watching him set a vase of wildflowers on each table, his tongue peeking out in concentration. The place smelled of fresh bread and cinnamon. Every employee now earned a fair wage, had healthcare, and shared in the profits. 2 single mothers worked side by side in the kitchen, humming as they plated food. A retired teacher helped part-time, teaching teenagers how to handle customers respectfully. There was even a wall of kindness, where customers left notes of gratitude and prepaid meals for anyone in need. Grace still worked long hours, but now they meant something. She wasn't just surviving. She was building. Sam stayed on as head cook and co-owner, teasing her that she'd gone from waitress to boss in record time. Grace laughed more these days. Leo had his own corner for homework and often helped customers carry plates with pride. One afternoon, as she wiped down the counter, Ethan walked in, as he always did, with 2 cups of coffee. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked. Grace smiled, taking the mug. "Just thinking about how strange life is. How one moment can change everything." Ethan nodded. "That's what kindness does. It ripples outward, farther than we ever see." She looked around the bustling room, at laughter, at the clinking of dishes, at Leo giggling as he delivered napkins to a table, and felt tears prick her eyes again. "I used to think my life was just a series of small losses," she said softly. "Now I see it was leading here all along." Ethan smiled. "You built something real, Grace. Something that feeds more than hunger." Grace took a sip of coffee, savoring it. "No," she said, shaking her head gently. "We built it." The bell above the door jingled again, and another family walked in, laughing as they found a seat near the window. The sunlight poured through, golden and kind. And for the first time in years, Grace didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. Fully, completely, beautifully seen. Hey, before you scroll away, if this story touched you, made you think, or even gave you a little hope, please hit that subscribe button.